In other words, I want to take this moment to praise God and thank Him and testify for all His goodness that has come upon my life. And I'd like to read a Bible verse, and it's from Proverbs chapter 3, verses 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight. Amen. This Bible verse has a very big significant meaning for me. And the reason being is, because everybody knows, right, that the situation right now, what we are going through, people have lost their jobs, and there are families grieving for their lost ones. There are people, suffering in the hospitals because of this virus. And for me also, this time was not really good. So I don't know if you all remember, 1 year back, I stood in this very pulpit and I was giving a testimony about me getting a job after searching for a job for a long time, and how God blessed me with a new job. And I remember that. And exactly after 1 year, the very job that God gave me, it was taken away from me. Everything was going fine. I was happy, it was going good, and I was doing well at my work. And suddenly, because of this COVID situation, it was a big surprise for me when we were told, along with a few of my friends, we were told that we are being laid off. And it definitely came to me as a big surprise, because I was new. I just completed 1 year, and I wasn't expecting that to happen to me. And at that moment when they announced that, it was a big surprise for me, and I was like, what do I say? I was shocked and I was kind of worried. But even then I just said, okay, whatever it is, fine. So that was it. Then at that moment I just prayed, okay, fine, Lord, whatever is your will, whatever your will be done. However, I started thinking, why did this happen to me? God gave me this job, I went, I testified about it, and then again, it's like He's taking it away from me. Because I believe that whatever happens in our life, nothing comes as a surprise to God. Everything is already planned, whether good or whether bad. Until and unless He doesn't allow it to happen in our life, it does not happen. So that was what I was thinking. And I was grumbling to myself, and I was like thinking this and that. Then one day, I have this habit of talking to myself when I'm doing some work, when I'm doing something. So I remember very well, it was after a few weeks after being laid off, I was thinking, I was washing my dishes and I was thinking, why did I lose this job? I mean, it was like I was talking to God only. That I needed this job, my situation, and this is the only way that I can bring food on the table, pay my rent, and so forth is what I was thinking. And I was like wrestling, fighting with Him kind of a thing, with God. And I was thinking, and I was just washing my dishes, and I had so many things coming in my mind. What am I going to do now? How am I going to meet my ends? How am I going to provide for my son? What will I do? And all those things. And when those things were going in, suddenly out of nowhere, this verse, it was like as if God was speaking to me, I could literally, deep inside my heart, this Bible verse came. I don't know, it just came. It was like as if I had memorized this verse also, trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways surrender to Him, and He will make your path straight. And I was like suddenly, where did this come from? And after that verse came into my mind, there was some kind of a peace in my heart. And then then immediately I finished washing my dishes and all, and then I went to my room, I got on my knees and I prayed, I'm sorry, Father, I'm sorry, God, I should trust in You. You have a better plan for me. Right now it seems like everything is going bad for me, but I'm going to believe whatever you have said. Henceforth, I'm going to surrender my situation into your hands. And henceforth, I will not question you, but I'm going to leave it. Whether I get anything or not, I'm going to trust in you just as your word has said. Okay, just as your word has said. And so forth, I left everything in God's hands. And I'm being honest, I did not start, everybody was looking for a job. I didn't even start looking for a job. I was like nothing. Every day I was relaxing, and my friends used to call me and they used to ask me, what is going on? How are you managing? What is happening? Then I said, I don't know, I'm just taking this time off. I used to tell them, all of these years, I had never taken any break. I was slogging, I was working. So I'm just going to take this as a time that God has given me to take a break and relax, and But then what I did, I made the best use of this time. And I would say my testimony is, through all my hard times, it brought me closer to God. I just feel that I lost so many things in my life, but at that time I was thinking, I lost this, I lost that, and now I lost this job. But as I started praying, as I started going to His feet, as I started turning myself towards Him, it was like my eyes were opened. And then I didn't feel sad anymore, I didn't feel bad anymore, but rather there was a positive feeling in me. I started thinking, okay, I lost this, I lost that, this is what happened. But out of all the lost, I gained something, I got something. And that was, I felt the love of Jesus Christ in my heart. I felt myself drawing closer to Him. And above everything, one thing I learned was to lay everything at His feet. And ever since then, I don't feel worried about anything. I have so many things, but I don't worry. I have learned to trust in God. And I realize that even if I am not faithful to Him, even if I have not been faithful, but I cannot doubt His faithfulness for me. And it's always His faithfulness. He has promised, I will never leave you nor forsake you. And in every aspect of my life, henceforth, I see Him working things out for me. Even in the last minute, everything is working out for me. And I just want to thank God. And I just want to say, what He has done for me, I'm sure I know that He can do for you also. All we need to do is learn to praise, learn to thank Him, learn to worship Him. We should have that faith to go before Him and thank Him and praise Him when things are not going right. That is what I wanted to say that time also. It's easy to praise Him, it's easy to thank Him when we are having a good time. But the biggest thing is, can we worship God? Can we thank God when our life is going bad? And another thing I learned during this, I would say all this time was, God needs to crush you first. If He wants to bless you, if He wants to work in your life, He has to crush you. And that's exactly what He did with my life. I can't share everything with you, right? I don't have the time, and I cannot share also everything. But for me to come till here with this faith, to stand before you all and testify about His goodness, I had to be crushed. I had to be crushed to the end. And then I was on my knees asking Him for help. And that is how I got my faith in Him. And now I can boldly say that, even if whatever comes my way, yes, I'm a human being, we all are, a little bit our faith falters, we might feel, like scared, afraid. But then when we say, why are we afraid when we have all laid it before His feet? It's not, if you can trust Him, if you can have faith in Him, it's going to all work out for everybody. That is what I learned. And I just want to close by saying that I can boldly confess and say and have confidence in His faithfulness and say that, maybe for everybody, 2020 has so far been the worst year of their life. But for me, even though I went through all the worst times of my life, or I lost things, or things didn't work out for me, but I will say, when I look back and count every day of my life and all the things that has happened to me, I just want to testify with my heart and my soul, and tell that 2020 has so far been the most blessed year for me, because God showed Himself to me in many ways, His faithfulness. So I just wanted to take this time and thank Him.
Today in this world, our enemies are not simply who stand face to face with us, but there are enemies who go around about and talk all kinds of ill about us. And who knows, even for students, their enemies are the exam. They have to fight to come over, and then the enemies are their teachers or whatnot. Here, today's psalm that we have just read, I will focus in 2 verses only. We have read 14 verses, but I'll focus only in 2 verses. Maybe I can include up to verse 6. Now, who wrote this? The psalmist, the writer of the psalm, is none other than the King David. And King David, you know who he was. A very victorious, from the shepherds, was lifted up to the kingship. And during his rule, I think none other than King David in the history of Israel has ruled majestically, and his kingdom was like a golden age. And after him, Israel was divided into 2, southern kingdom and northern kingdom. In the southern kingdom, it was just a Judea. In the northern kingdom, the rest of the Israel. And therefore, we see this is the golden age. And during his rule, experience of golden age is demonstrated very clearly in the life testimony of King David. He had all that he could. Nevertheless, his yearning, his desire was not quenched until coming to this verse. And the verse very clearly says, I have only one desire. You focus your attention in the verse 4. I have only one desire. The King James Version used the word desire. I'd like to emphasize that. And in the other version it says, I ask, one thing have I asked of the Lord. Oneness is very important. But again, his focus is not only in the one thing, but is seeking after it until he fulfill it. Until he attained it, he will seek after it. That is his commitment. What kind of a desire do we have? What kind of a liking and cherish do we have? Students may have just to pass out exam and qualify his certificate or degree. For our adult, to employ in a good job where we can earn a good salary, that may be our one thing desire. For some people, to be a popular figure, handsome, beautiful, and good looking, all those are some of the aspiration and desire. What was this one desire that David emphasized? Very simple. He has articulated very clearly 3 things he desired most. What was his desire? 3 important things he desired. Number 1, dwell in the house. Go to the verse 4. Dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life. That's very impressive. What is the house of God? Or what is the house of the Lord? Some people quickly may say that it is the church or it is the temple. At this time, temple was not constructed yet, because temple was constructed by his son Solomon. And therefore, David longed to be in the presence of the Lord. Today it could be tabernacle or the church or the place where God exists. According to the New Testament, where there are 2 or 3 gathered together and worshiping, that could be the place where God dwells. And therefore, David's earnest desire, only single-minded focus is he desired and he asked the Lord to fulfill in his lifetime. And that is to dwell, to live all the days of our life. Not only the good time, not only in the good season, not only if the church is existing nearby, or not only if the pastor is goody thing, or if the pastor is appealing and speaking goody words. Irrespective of all that, David says, where God dwells, I love to visit that. I love to live in that. It could be your home. It could be your worship place. It could be your sacred altar. God dwells there. And King David's the greatest king in the history of Israel. His desire, his anguishes was to be in that presence, in that place where God dwells. Until his death assures him. Second thing, why he wanted to be there? He wanted to behold the beauty of God. He wanted to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of his life. Why? To behold the beauty of God. Wow! How wise and how intelligent David is to discover the beauty of the Lord. Jesus, or in New Testament account, I am a wretched fellow. I have no beauty, nothing good in me. That's what testimony of Jesus. But even in that ruggedness, even in that roughness, even in that toughness, David saw the beauty. Wonderful. If we see and if we seek with the real attitude, we will see the goodness of the Lord, even in the midst of trial, testing, hard time, painful moment, mourning period. Those are the unique inner clue that we get. All because of the indwelling of the Spirit within us. And therefore, his first desire, the only thing, was to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of his life. And second, his search, his thirst was to behold the beauty of the Lord. No wonder, even in Matthew and the Gospel of Luke, he says, the lily of the valley, all the beauty that enthralled, the wildness, I would like to search more and more of his goodness. That is what the writer of Gospels, Matthew and Luke, also hinted. Nothing can compare his goodness. Though he is rough and tough, though for some people he is a kind of a dictator kind of a thing, or he is something who hates evil, but his love beyond compare, his beauty unmatched. And therefore, when we focus and when we taste the goodness of the Lord, his beauty enthralls us. And therefore today, David's desire, second desire, why he wanted to be in the house of the Lord, he doesn't come to see the pastors preaching. He doesn't come, today's context, let me say, he doesn't come to see the good singing of the singing party. But we come to worship and behold the beauty of the Lord, the goodness of the Lord, in the reading and in the exaltation that we hear from different speakers. And that was David's anguishness in his life. Nothing can saturate, nothing can meet his desire. All his life is longing to have that communion, to have that union, and asking God, to ask God, not only beholding his beauty, but he says, and to ask God, to inquire in his temple, to search the inner beauty, inner goodness of the Lord. The more and more you dwell, more and more you dig, you will discover the goodness of the Lord more. That was his anguish desire. And as a result of this, next verse, if you look in the verse 7 onwards, he says, I will also sing to the Lord, because he will hide me in his pavilion. What is pavilion? We all know. It's a big nice shelter, a good place. Even in the sports athletic, if you go, in the field, ground, there is a pavilion, sitting all around in the arena. Such a good place for everyone to stay. Therefore, He will hide me, even in the coronavirus or even in the pandemic. He will shelter me. He will cover me, so I don't have to fear. I see only goodness and the beauty of the Lord more and more. The more I go, the more I feel His goodness. And the more I search, I discover something good in Him. That was His testimony. And in the secret of His tabernacle, He will cover me. He will hide me. He will set me up upon the rock, which nothing can destroy. Jesus is compared as the rock, a cornerstone where we lay our foundation. And therefore, we are left in such a way that just as David desired, he will be lifted up, he will be elevated, and he will be protected and covered. And lastly and very importantly, He will lift me up above my enemies. No wonder, as I say, we are covered with all enemies. We are in the battleground. You will see that in verse 7. We are in the battleground. We are confronting every day different enemies. But the Lord will always give us victory. And therefore, Romans also very clearly promised the victory that we overcome is because of faith in Jesus. And therefore, we are not victims, but we are victors. Because of Christ's presence, because of God's abiding and indwelling. My dear brothers and sisters, being a king, famous king, we thought he will shelter in his palace. He will be saturated with the money that he collects. His treasure is full. No need to worry. But above all that, David has one cherished desire. And that desire was to dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of his life, to behold the beauty of God and ask God how to face, where to go, how and what of life. And definitely God's promise, I'm just hinting one verse, that is verse 7. When we do that, the rest is taken over. He says, I will hide you in his pavilion. I will protect you in the tabernacle where you are. And he will set me up upon the rock so that nobody can touch you, and you will be shining as a star. And finally, he will lift me up above all the enemies who talk about you, who mock and talk all ills about you, who gossip about you. God will lift up. My dear brothers and sisters, if God lifts us up, who is there to put us into shame? He will continue to outshine. And therefore, whatever sickness, whatever exams phobia, whatever viruses that we are afraid of, whatever jobless situation, whatever painless situation that we are encountering, God is able. He is reaching out. Some people ask me, Pastor, is it right for us to pay the tithes regularly? I said, I don't know. Then he said, then why are you insisting that your members should pay the tithes? All because God's goodness and His richness has provided you. If you don't remember God out of the earning that you're getting, God will also forget you one day. And that will be most tragic for you. And therefore, if God has been so faithful and good to you, why not you remember Him? That's all. Whatever tithes you are giving, it is not for the pastor. It is not for the church, but it is for you. If you remember, you are blessed. Then he said, I thought it is for the salary of the pastor. Well, pastors can go without salary. And I told in my context, I'm doing without salary for the last 15 years. God never put me to beg, or God never leave me penniless. God provides. He is rich enough. Don't think that God is so poor and miserable that without your tithes, He will shamble them. No. God is just tasting your faith. And He asked me, I'm not getting any salary. From where can I pay? I said, are you getting something to eat? The tithes should not be just your salary. The tithes should be your household income. Whatever you get through the rent, through selling a vegetable, or through your workmanship, whatever you earn in a month. If you can earn, you have a tithes. If you get 5 rupees, you can keep 50 paise or tenth of what you earn. That is Lord's share. And if you respect that, the rest is you are blessed. Then he said, we didn't understand that one. We thought our giving is only for the pastor's salary. No, it is not the pastor's salary, but it is remembering goodness of the Lord. And therefore, our desire also should be that whatever earning, whatever God has blessed us with, remember. So also David desires, all my life I have been thinking and learning. Greatest desire in my life is to dwell in the house of the Lord, to behold the beauty of God. And when I focus in the beauty of God, all the beauty of the world is lost in me. His goodness is shining more and more. And I will continue to inquire, ask, what is the will of God for me? My dear brothers and sisters, let us continue to focus our greatest desire in Him, and through Him we can be fulfilled. May the Lord bless you.